What is a world record that I could break? What am I going to talk about? And is this episode improvised? Well, I talk about all that and more on this episode of the Toddcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toddcast. As always, I am your host, Todd McManus. And if you couldn't guess from the introduction there, this episode is going to be a little different. I have actually done a few of these types of episodes in the past. I think I've only done like maybe 2 or 3. And I think one of them was actually with multi-time guest Jaron. I think we did one of those. But I haven't done one just by myself in a while. And I was thinking, you know what? I don't really know what else to talk about. So I decided this is going to be a good old-fashioned improv episode. Meaning, normally I have, a little bit of notes. I jot down some headlines, that way I know what topics that I want to cover on an episode. But this episode, I have literally nothing written down. The only thing I have written down is that it's an improv episode, and then I have a question, and then I have 2 different energy drinks that I'm going to be reviewing at the end of the episode, so you'll have to stay tuned for that. But until then, until we get to the questions, all of what I'm about to say is not written down. It hasn't been any kind of planned. I've thought of things in my head of what I can talk about, but nothing has been written down, so nothing is set in stone of what I want or need to talk about. So I guess we can just go ahead into it because there is no format for this, really. I did see something that was about the Star Wars series on Disney Plus called The Acolyte. I did see something about that kind of interested me. And apparently it takes place in the High Republic era. If you are not familiar with Star Wars, this takes place before Episode 1. I don't know how far, maybe like 100 years or more. But the High Republic takes place before the Phantom Menace Episode 1 with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Darth Maul and all that, And apparently, and of course, if you don't know, The Acolyte, it will be a series on Disney Plus. And from what I saw, and I don't know who else, reported this, but there's going to be more Jedi in the Acolyte series than there has ever been in any other Star Wars series or movie in a live action format. So the Clone Wars may have had a lot of Jedi in it, and episodes 2 or 1 had a couple, but 2 and 3 had a lot more than any other, trilogies of 4, 5, and 6, and 7, 8, and 9. But episodes 1, 2, and 3 had the most, and apparently this series that'll be on Disney Plus at some point is going to have the most Jedi of any form of Star Wars movie or series, which is kind of interesting and exciting, honestly, because, in my opinion, more the Jedi, the better. There's, always more room for more lightsabers, and the Force and everything. And I think that that's a good thing to do, because in the High Republic era, from my knowledge, I haven't read too much about it. I've learned more about the Old Republic and Darth Revan and his story, with Malak and Darth Vitiate and all of the Old Republic type things, and all Darth Nihilus, which a lot of people like. But apparently, it does happen after the Old Republic and before Episode 1. And I think the High Republic lasted for a few hundred years. And it's an era that I feel like has not been expounded on a lot at all, really. Because they're starting to make more books about it, and they're bridging the gap between the Old Republic going into the actual movies of Episode 1, because the Old Republic happened a few thousand years before Episode 1 even happened, and because the Old Republic, going towards the end of the Old Republic, was Darth Malgus and everything that happened in those like trailers for the Old Republic video game. And which, funny enough, Knights of the Old Republic, the first game, turned 20 years old this year, which is very interesting. And I've never played that game. Honestly, I have thought about it. It's on Xbox, and it's only like $10 or $15. And I've been interested to try it because it is an RPG style game, which means it's in the same form of like a Dragon Age game or Fallout or Skyrim, or the soon to be released Starfield, which I'm still very excited for to actually happen, and hopefully some gameplay trailer comes around soon. But yeah, the High Republic takes place in between the Old Republic and Episode 1, and I don't really know much about it. All I know is basically what has been told that I've seen either on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and also what was told in the last Jedi Fallen Order video game. That's really all I know. Well, not Jedi Fallen Order. It was a Jedi Survivor was the video game that came out not too long ago. When they talked about, and then the main bad guy who was in it and all that kind of stuff. And Bode, who was, everything that happened there. But yeah, I'm excited for the Acolyte Star Wars Disney Plus series. I think it's going to be a good series. I'm looking to see like more different and refreshed Star Wars series. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to that because I think that'll be a good thing to have because, we have The Mandalorian. We have we have Book of Boba Fett. We are really close to having the Ahsoka series, which is coming out within the next week, I think. And so I'm excited for that, but I just think that having, the different varieties, and I understand, having different series and movies come out, and you want them all to connect, because that's how Marvel does it. That they put out all these series and movies, and they want them to connect, to make a big cinematic universe, which is kind of what Star Wars is doing with The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. And like I've said before, is that I think they're going to do one big Avengers-style movie where they're all going after Grand Admiral Thrawn. I think that's just what they're going to do. But yeah, I definitely think that the Acolyte will be interesting. I don't know exactly what the story is going to be because, it's in the High Republic. It's a completely new, different thing that's going to be happening. But nevertheless, I'm still excited and I'm still looking forward to see what is actually going to be happening in this series and actually what the story is going to be told. And, I'm a big Sith guy, if y'all didn't know that, if I haven't said this before. Whenever I watch these types of movies, and the old saying that, I'm going to butcher this, but it's like, every hero is only good as their villain. It's a saying that's kind of like that, meaning that if you have a terrible villain, then why would your hero be that good? Or if you had, a bad hero who isn't that good, then why would the villain need to be good because the hero already sucks? And I 100% believe that because all of these, series or movies that have, whether it's Marvel, DC, Star Wars, anything, whether you have you need a good hero that's like one of those typical stories of like if they're getting a superpower or something and they didn't know it. They lived a normal life, but now they can fly and shoot lasers out of their eyes, If it's one of those stories, then it's always the typical villain of like them hunting that kid down because they want the power or they have had the power before. It's like Shazam, basically, or anything like that, where the villain sees the power and has had the power and wanted to wield the power, but they either didn't or had it taken away from them or they lost it by some type of battle or something that happened. And yeah, but like if your villain isn't that good or your hero isn't that good, then the movie is just already not that good. You got to have a likable hero and just a really good villain. And for a lot of these movies, I actually like the villains. For like Marvel, I mean, Thanos is one of the greatest big bad guys of all time. Without a doubt, in my opinion, Darth Vader is the best villain of all time, because he was introduced in Episode 4, Star Wars A New Hope, back when that movie came out in 1977, and he is still an imposing threat. Like, people watching the series, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, or any other movie or series that he might be in the future, when you see him, you're still feeling like chill bumps or goosebumps on yourself, or having that chill run down your spine, because he is Darth Vader. And everybody knows who Darth Vader is. He wearing the all black suit, and he's got the mask, and he's got the little the square buttons on his chest, and he's got that breathing that you can hear him breathing. And video games do that all the time. I feel like every time you're out in the wild or something and you're getting closer to the end of the game, and then you're like fighting a bad guy. It was the same thing that happened in Jedi Fallen Order, where you hear his breathing in the shadows, and you're like, uh-oh, it's Vader. And whenever that happened, whenever I played the Fallen Order game the first time, because I've played it I think 2 or 3 times now, when I first played through Jedi Fallen Order, and I didn't expect Vader to show up at the end whenever you're fighting one of the I don't even remember her name, but she was an she was a Jedi, she turned into a Inquisitor, that whole thing. And when you're fighting her at the end, at that like underwater base where they train Inquisitors, and then you hear Darth Vader breathing, and you don't even see him yet, and then he shows up, and he just killed that lady, because he's like, oh, you failed me, and then just cut her down. Yeah, like, you still feel it. There's reaction videos of that, of people realizing that Darth Vader has shown up. Same thing with Jedi Survivor when he showed up, because he just shows up all the time, apparently, because Darth Vader's just everywhere. He shows up unannounced to anybody, and he's just there, But yeah, I definitely think that, without a doubt, in my opinion, that Darth Vader has got to be the best villain of all time. I mean, Thanos is up there. If you want to do like a top 5 ranking of villains, we can go in all forms of movies. We don't even have to be in like Marvel, DC, or Star Wars, because a lot of people will say, like, I don't know if you would put like Freddy or Jason on there, or Michael Myers, and some people might say like Hannibal Lecter. So like those types of characters from movies that were just killers, and they still have stood the test of time, because like, I mean, Jason and Freddy, they've been in like 20 different movies. They've been in a movie together. Michael Myers with Halloween, he's had a bunch of movies, but like Hannibal Lecter, I don't know how many movies he's been in. Like The Silence of the Lambs. Like, that was I don't know if you consider that a horror movie, but it was a thriller. I haven't seen it. I have been interested to watch it, and I've thought about it, so I might end up checking it out before long. But yeah, those types of characters that aren't really dedicated to a certain fan base or a certain medium or a certain IP, like Marvel or DC or Star Wars, because you can go through DC and be like, okay, the Joker, Deathstroke, Darkseid, those types of characters. And Marvel, you got your Thanos, Loki whenever he is a villain, the Red Skull, Ultron, and then with Star Wars, of course, Darth Vader, Darth Revan when he was a villain, but then turned back good, and, his whole story is very interesting. And I'm still looking forward to see if they do an Old Republic series, because they have to. I read up about the Star Wars, the Old Republic lore that there was, that was about Darth Revan specifically. Whenever he started, and he was found as a kid, and he had force powers, and they trained him as a Jedi. He led the Jedi into the Mandalorian Wars, and he took them down and found out that they were the leader of the Mandalorians was tricked to do all of that because of a Sith Lord that they haven't seen in hundreds of years. And Revan and his apprentice Malak went or Alec at the time, and then he become Malak. Revan and Alec went and found Darth Vitiate, who was the Sith Lord, and he tricked them, and he made them turn to the Sith and turn to the dark side. And then they were Sith, and they built an army, and then they had a fight, and Darth Malak, now he went from Alec to Malak to now Darth Malak, he fired upon the ship that Darth Revan was in, and then he lost his memory, and then that's where the video game started of the Knights of the Old Republic, where you don't know who you are, and then everything happened. It's a big old thing. I honestly think they could make a series out of it and make his entire Darth Revan, or Revan, whatever you want to call him, make his entire arc be like 5 or 6 seasons. That's how good and how much story he has. And, I read, not the abridged version, you could say, but it was, I guess you could say it was, dumbed down, or, I guess I could say it was abridged, because it was only about Revan. All the things that I read was only centered around him, which there was other stuff happening at the time, where Darth Nihilus was born, or created at that time, basically, because of what happened at that planet during the Mandalorian Wars. And, Darth Malak has an interesting character arc and all this kind of stuff, so I'm hoping that they'll actually make something, because if they just do a trilogy of movies, that's not going to be good, because there's too much story for 3 movies. And if there's that much story that you need series more than 3 2-hour-long movies, then that's a gold mine, in my opinion. And then not to mention, there's more stuff after Revan, because Darth Malgus happened after that. So, and Darth Bane was way later on. So yeah, that was my Star Wars shtick. What else? Oh, I did see this thing that, so a while back, if y'all don't know, there was this thing that Microsoft was going to purchase the Activision Blizzard company, and they make, the Diablo games, they make all of the Call of Duty games, Overwatch, and I think StarCraft and World of Warcraft is what they also do. So they have all these games, because Activision is, Call of Duty and stuff like that. And Blizzard are the main ones who make Diablo, because Diablo 4 came out this year, and Overwatch and World of Warcraft and StarCraft. So they have all these, and they have other games too that I just can't remember. And Microsoft wanted to purchase that company, that way they'll make those games, and they can make them Xbox exclusive if they want to, or whatever. And it went to court, because I guess the court or the government thought that was too big of a company to be bought, or some type of monopoly situation or something like that. And they went to court. A lot of stuff was being said, and every time game companies or any kind of these companies go to court, they always talk about stuff that you wouldn't hear about for another couple of months or a year, because Phil Spencer, who is in charge of all of the Xbox department with Microsoft, he said, or one of them said, that the PS5 is going to be making a Slim and a Pro before long, and that they bought the Bethesda company, which was they bought the parent company that owned Bethesda, which is the game company that owns Fallout, the Elder Scrolls games, which is Skyrim and Oblivion and all that, and also making the new game Starfield. They bought them because they wanted that to be an exclusive, because apparently if they did not buy Bethesda's company, Starfield was actually going to be a PS5 exclusive. That they had no plans at that time that they were going to put it on Xbox or PC, that Starfield was originally going to be a PS5 exclusive. And then once the company was bought, That got thrown out the window, and then now it's going to be available on both Xbox and PC only, and not even on PS5, which that caused a big outroar because now they were thinking that they should make it available for all three of them, for PS5, Xbox, and PC, which that would take longer to do. I think it may be able to happen eventually. I think that they should go ahead and release Starfield on Xbox and PC in September, and then maybe in another year or two, maybe they could do like Starfield, the PS5 edition, or something like that, or whatever they do, like a special edition or a legendary edition, or a Game of the Year edition if they win Game of the Year. They can maybe release that version to the PS5, like in another couple of years, after they do all the DLC, all the extra content, which is what games like to do. The Spider-Man game did that, and Skyrim did that as well, where they'll release DLC, which is downloadable content, if you don't know what that is. That's like extra story missions, or extra, like an extra gun, or an extra, like a companion you can have, because Skyrim did it because they released a extra story, which was the whole, like, vampire story. And they released that, and then they released all these other stories that don't really go together. But they're done with that, after like 2 or 3 years of doing that, then they come out with a Game of the Year edition or a special edition of the game, where it'll be like Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim, the special edition. And they have all the DLCs on there, plus all of the base game that you would normally get. I definitely think Starfield could do that for the PS5. But that was one thing that they talked about at this court hearing. And it did end up going through. I remember that. It did end up going through, that they okayed it, that Microsoft will be purchasing in full the Activision Blizzard company, but they made a clause, or they signed an agreement with Sony, the owners of PlayStation, that Call of Duties will not be an exclusive to Xbox and to PC. They will still be coming to the PS5, which is a good thing because that's a big money maker, especially for Activision and Call of Duty as a whole, is being able to play Call of Duty on whatever console that you have, instead of just having to always have a PS5 and an Xbox at home. But it was announced that in the year 2025, 2 years from now, that all of the original and every single Call of Duty game that has ever released up until now will officially be going to the Xbox Game Pass, which is wild. This is all the way from the original World War II Call of Duty games from way back in the day, just called Call of Duty, and Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 3, and then all of the Modern Warfare games, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, the newer Modern Warfare 1 and 2 games, Call of Duty World War II, Call of Duty World at War. There's like 20 of them, I feel like. And all of the Black Ops games as well. All of these Call of Duty games will be releasing and be put on Game Pass in the next 2 years, which is still a lot. That's going to be a big day in 2025 whenever you're available to download any Call of Duty game that you want to play. And if they have like the servers up and running for them, you can still do like multiplayer with all of them. That's going to be a day that's going to be like rejoiced and celebrated. So yeah. But yeah, that's going to be a big day, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of that happen, and it's going to be interesting. There's still probably going to be more companies bought before then, and who knows, we got to see if anything happens before then. It may not. That's why they said 2 years, because the purchase has to go through, and then they got to make all of the Call of Duty games accessible on the Game Pass. But yeah. So, I'm looking forward to if that actually does happen, because I do have both an Xbox and a PS5, so I'm interested to see how that's going to happen and when it will actually happen. So yeah, I've been going for a while now. I don't really, I can't really think of anything else, but I think it is now time for a question. If you do have a question you would like to be answered on a future episode, there is a link down in the description of this episode. You can tap or click on that. It'll take you to my YouTube channel, and comment down below in one of the videos your question. And also, if you want to, if you don't have a question, you can do both, or you can do one of these. You can comment a drink, food item, or candy that you would like for me to review on an episode in the future. But I do have one question here that I would like to go through because I've already read it and it's interesting. So thank you for this question. And it is, what is a world record you think you could break? I feel like I've talked about some of this. I mean, there's a world record for literally everything. I saw this video not too long ago, and it was like a guy breaking the world record for crying the longest amount of time. And this guy was like crying for like 100 hours or something like that, which is insane. Like, I can barely cry for like 5 minutes, much less going on an hour to multiple days. I don't know. I would probably have to go with something. I would definitely have to go with like some type of food eating world record, like eating the most fries in 10 minutes or something like that, you know. I definitely think I could put away... what could I do? I definitely think I could put away like multiple Chick-fil-A nuggets. Like, I think that's an item. I would definitely have to go to the bathroom after that. Because Chick-fil-A is like the new Taco Bell. And if you know what that means, you already know what that means, you know. But, yeah, I definitely think I could put away a bunch of Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. I think that is one food item that I can just, you know, pop them in and just go with it, you know. I'm trying to think of something that I can eat a lot of. I mean, fries is an option, you know, because like soup is going to fill you up. I can't do chicken wings. I would have to do boneless chicken tenders or nuggets or boneless wings, because if it's got a bone on it, that's going to take me too long, because I'm not that fast of an eater whenever it comes with bone-in chicken. I mean, I could do a drinking contest, but that's just going to hurt. Like, imagine trying to chug like a 2-liter bottle of Sprite. Like, I'm going to, you know, burp so hard, it's going to send me into the space. It's going to send me to the moon. Forget the Artemis missions with NASA. I'm going to go to the moon. I honestly think fries. For some reason, fries are on my mind. I could put a lot of fries away. I think like Popeye's fries, or even like the nacho fries from Taco Bell are really good. Checkers fries. I could put away some Sonic fries and some McDonald's fries. I think fries are like a big thing and if you're in the UK, it's called chips, you know. But yeah, I could probably put away a lot of potato fries, you know, not sweet potato, just like your regular fries like you have at Sonic or McDonald's, but seasoned fries as well, from Popeyes especially. I could put those away. Like, they're so good, and I could just, you know, boom, 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 you know, get a handful of them and just go to town, you know, and figure out how many fries I could put away in a certain minute, like per minute, up to 10 minutes or something like that, like with the hot dog eating contest that happens on the 4th of July. With Joey Chestnut. But yeah, I definitely think I could do some fries. That might be something I could honestly do. Because everything else is just going to hurt. Which, I mean, fries are going to hurt eventually. But, like, I couldn't eat too much ice cream because I would get brain freeze. I couldn't drink nothing fast enough. Because even if you drink too much water, apparently it's bad for you. Because you can, I mean, if you drink too much water, you're just going to drown. What else? I can't really think of any other food that I could put away a lot of in a short amount of time. Hey, if you have anything that you think you could beat as a world record, especially food related, put in the comments below. I want to know what y'all's are. So, I would say fries. Fries are like tots. Those are my answers. So, thank you for that question. And now we have got two energy drinks that I am going to be reviewing. So, if you want to see a picture of these, they're on the official Toddcast Instagram page at @the_Toddcast_. Only on Instagram, of course. And I guess I'm going to do this one first. These two are the same brand. They are the Rise brand, which is spelled RYSE. And they are some interesting flavors. I've had these for a little while, and I was like, you know what? I'll just go ahead and give them a try on this episode. So, oh, that was loud. This one is Tropical Punch Kool-Aid flavored. So, it smells like Kool-Aid. And it's got 0 sugar, 0 calories, and 200 milligrams of caffeine. Wonderful. So, let's go ahead and give this a try. Oh, interesting. Okay. That's not bad. If it wasn't an energy drink, I'd probably drink more of it, but I don't want to die. So, but on the scale of 0 to 100 with no decimals, I would probably have to give that a good old, I'd give that a 78. Like, it's good. I wouldn't have it again only because it's an energy drink and I'm not that, I don't like energy drinks that much because a lot of energy drinks have the same flavor of the taurine or the amount of caffeine that's in it. And, there's a lot of risks of drinking a lot of energy drinks. That's why that's why I don't really review that many energy drinks on here, which I know I'm 23, getting closer to be 24 years old. And, that's still young, but I don't really want to do it to myself to just be chugging and doing a bunch of energy drinks, especially just in my free time or on an episode of this podcast. That's why I just, I don't really review them that much because I don't want to do it to myself and I don't really want to die. so yeah. I'm going to start burping. So the Rise Kool-Aid flavor gets a 78. And we're going to go to the next one, which is Rise Sunny D flavored. So, oh yeah. Alright, it's got an orangey smell, which is good. It's not like them nasty Starbucks drinks I had a while back. So, Rise Sunny D flavor with 0 calories, 0 protein, 0 sugar, 20 milligrams of sodium, and 200 milligrams of choline and caffeine. What else does it have? It has other stuff that I can't see. It's got choline, vitamin C, potassium. Okay. So, Sunny D Rise, let's go ahead and give it a try. Oh, man, that's good. It's not even an orange color. It's a clear, like, Sprite-looking color. That's pretty good. I like that. I would have that again, even though I don't really like energy drinks, but I would give that an 82. That's good. I actually do like that. It still has, the hints of it being an energy drink, but at the same time, it's got a really nice orangey flavor to it, and that's what I like about it. So yeah, we got the Kool-Aid Rise at a 78 and the Rise Sunny D energy drink at an 82. And those are some pretty good scores, honestly, for energy drinks that I've never had before. But yeah, they're really good. I'd recommend them. If you like energy drinks and you're okay with drinking a crap ton of caffeine, you can try the Rise brand. This isn't sponsored by them, but it could be. But yeah, the Sunny D flavor is good, and I want to take me another sip right now, honestly. Don't want to drink too much. Got to sip on it like a wine, like that kind of thing, because of the amount of caffeine in it. I don't want to overdo it, So, yeah. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. As always, please rate and subscribe. And if you're listening on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to get notified when new videos are uploaded. And make sure you follow the Toddcast on Instagram for all your updates and Toddcast needs. Tell your friends and family to give it a listen, and thank all of you for listening to this episode. And if you want to know what's going to happen next week, we just got to tune in to find out. Only on the Toddcast.